The land explored by our ancestors extends from Altai to the White Sea. The scientific expedition Trails of Nomads continues to unveil the path of our forefathers. Its leader is a true citizen of the world. He believes, without a deep understanding of the past, there is no future. Each journey is focused on a detailed study of history and culture. Pilgrim of the 21st century, Sapar Iskakov, with a team of scientists, has already visited more than 50 countries. Scientists reveal the exciting secrets of the past. Watch an amazing story of a great journey in the Trails of Nomads program. Today's Trails of Nomads episode presents: what do Turks and the mysterious city of Teotihuacan have in common? What do Kazakhs and Mexicans have in common in the Nauryz celebration? What similarities exist in the burial rituals of the ancient Indians and Sakas? American Indians, whose life is inextricably linked with the land of Altai, became known to the world as the creators of civilization. The structures they built still hide many secrets. The ancient settlement of Teotihuacan is located 50 kilometers from the capital of Mexico. The Trails of Nomads scientific expedition team visited the historical place and learned its history in more detail. We're standing on the site of the ancient city of Teotihuacan. There are two large temples. This is the Pyramid of the Moon and the Pyramid of the Sun. Here we see the dwellings of servants and religious priests. Here are the walls. In those days, they were painted red and yellow. The houses inside were very beautiful. The floors were made of stone. Teotihuacan is the oldest and most developed city of the American Indians. According to scientists, in this region people appeared thousands of years before our era. Urban civilization formed here in the 3rd century BC and began to develop rapidly in the 2nd century BC. At that time, the cities of Teopancasco and Cuicuilco, considered the center of the region, suffered from a volcanic eruption. Their inhabitants moved here. The increase in the number of inhabitants accelerated the development and prosperity of Teotihuacan. The territory of the city reached an area of 28 square kilometers, and the population was almost 200,000 people. Thus, the city became the locomotive and cultural standard of the Mesoamerican region. The city of Teotihuacan was distinguished by a high level of development. This is approximately the 4th century AD. However, it is not known for what reasons the inhabitants left the city in 750 to 800. Later, in 250-300, the Aztecs came. By that time, the whole city was overgrown with grass and trees. The Aztecs, taking advantage of this, made the city a place of worship of God. The name of the ancient settlement was initially unknown. Teotihuacan is the name of the Aztecs. Translated into English, it means the land of the gods. There is also no information about the indigenous population of the city. According to some reports, society consisted of many ethnic groups. There were representatives of the Indian tribes of Nahuatl, Otomi, Totonaco. But what was the reason that they left their beautiful city? Initially, scientists assumed that it was an enemy raid. However, archaeological excavations made later led to a different version. According to the found artifacts, it turned out that there was a continuous drought. Resettlement was caused by the climate change. In addition, there were many eruptions of volcanoes. People died of hunger. In such a difficult period, the social unity of people weakens, and conflict situations appear. Burned buildings and structures as if dumb witnesses of the past. However, we cannot be sure. On both sides, there are numerous objects: residential buildings, temples for worshipping the gods. There were warehouses for storing food, a water supply system, and sewage tanks for storing drinking water. According to the Aztecs, there was a large area in the center of Teotihuacan. It was called the Avenue of the Dead. The streets, which stretched from north to south, had a length of 3 kilometers, a width of 42.95 meters. The height of the beginning of the street was always 30 meters higher. Therefore, if you look from the end to the beginning of the street, it looks like a path leading to the sky. Seen from the top to bottom, it looks like an endless staircase connected to the Pyramid of the Moon. People who lived many thousands of years ago were able to design in such amazing way. The fact surprises modern geodesists. Ancient construction, full of secrets, speaks of the rich worldview of the Indian tribes. The customs and traditions associated with the sky, including the moon, the spirits of the ancestors, speak of the common roots of the Teotihuacan people and the Kazakhs.
Ацтек халқында аңыз бар. Ол аңыз бойынша ертеде екі құдай осы мынау алаңда отырады, от жағады.
The Aztecs have a legend. Two gods sat on the square and burned a bonfire. Then one of them jumped into the fire, sacrificing himself. So it will turn into a sun that gives the whole world light and warmth. The second god will do the same, but a little later. Fire by that time will burn weaker, and therefore he will turn into a moon, which illuminates the earth with its dim light at night.
Содан барып ол айға айналған.
On the eastern side of the Avenue of the Dead is the most important building of the city, the Pyramid of the Sun. Its volume is 1,200,000 cubic meters. This is the third largest pyramid in the world. The length of the base is 230 meters, width 220, height 64 meters. However, the ruins of the temple that was erected above speak of a completely different height. According to scientists, initially it was approximately 75 meters, and the construction of the pyramid began in nearly 100 AD. Behind us is the Pyramid of the Sun. At the base of the pyramid there is a cave. It goes 3 to 4 meters in depth. In the middle it goes to another cave, the entrance of which resembles a flower with 4 leaves. Here at the top of this cave, the temple was built. This is a 4-stage construction. Tourists can climb here, unlike the pyramids of the moon. The ancient Indians were very good builders. Their skill amazes contemporaries. The Pyramid of the Sun is erected in the direction of sunset. Looking at it, people determined the calendar year. From the pyramid, astronomical observations were carried out, necessary for planning agricultural work and conducting religious rites. The facility was a kind of scientific center of the Indians. Particular attention should be paid to the images of the jaguar and the snake. Jaguar is a relative of the tiger, which was revered by the Kazakhs as well as a snake. It turns out that the masters who built the Pyramid of the Sun somehow connected with the ancestors of the Kazakhs.
Бұлар ортасында үлкен көше салған аллея сияқты. Соның жан-жағына
The Indians built a large alley street with pyramids and temples along it. This complex can be compared with the Saka burial grounds, Besatar. Our ancient ancestors are Sakas, and they, like the Indians, worshipped the sun and moon.
Салыстыруға болады. Онда да қорғаннан тарап атқан тармақтары бар. Біздің ертедегі бабаларымыз сақтар. Олар бірінші күнге, екінші айға табынған.
The Avenue of the Dead connects the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon, which is also a unique structure of Teotihuacan. Its parameters are slightly different from the Pyramid of the Sun. Height is 42 meters, length and width of 150 meters. It was built in 450 years of our era. The complex looks like a single ensemble, although it consists of 7 different parts.
Бірінші астындағысы 4 деңгей, үшіндегісі 3 деңгейден.
The first has lower 4 levels. Upstairs are 3 more levels. In total, there are 7 superimposed structures. The number 7 is considered sacred among the Turks and Kazakhs. Recently, in Kazakhstan's Karaganda region, archaeologists discovered a pyramid consisting of 7 levels.
Оның да 7 деңгейі бар екен.
In 2018, an underground tunnel was found under the Pyramid of the Moon at a depth of 8 meters. There is evidence that it leads to the chamber for the burial of the dead. These are the results of archaeological excavations carried out in 1980. Then, scientists discovered a burial ground in which 12 people were buried. All the deceased had their hands tied behind their backs. However, the 2 were given special respect. They had a lot of jewelry. In addition, bones of the 5 wolves, 3 jaguars, and 13 golden eagles were found next to them in a cell. And these are also signs that indicate proximity with the Turks. Such a burial ritual is inherent in the Saga tribes. Both the wolf and the golden eagle are considered sacred by the Kazakhs. On the Pyramid of the Moon, in its upper part, people pray to the gods of the moon and water, which is also a sign of kinship. Being in such a sacred place, one seeks answers to numerous questions. After all, people lived here before our era. Who were they? What culture and civilization belonged to? For example, here we walked along the Avenue of the Dead from the Pyramid of the Moon to the Pyramid of the Sun. I wonder how people in distant times could possess such a deep knowledge in astronomy, mathematics. The pyramids of the Moon and the Sun were built taking into account the location of the stars, the Moon, and the Sun. Teotihuacan inhabitants celebrate Nauryz holiday. The descendants of the Aztecs, that is, modern Mexicans, gathered near the Pyramid of the Sun and are waiting for the moment when day and night become equal. The ancestors of the Kazakhs also had similar rituals. Now in the west of Kazakhstan, in Mangistau, people lit a fire on Amal holiday on Otpan Mount. Gathering there, people wish each other a beneficial year, good luck, and prosperity. The pyramids of the Moon and the Sun served as a guide. For example, the Sun gave a shadow exactly 1 minute. This is the time of equinox. Kazakhs as well as Indians consider this moment the beginning of a new year. On the Avenue of the Dead, on one side is the Pyramid of the Moon, on the other the fortress of Ciutadella. But the structures are not located opposite each other, but a little to the right. Inside the fortress, the place of the Quetzalcoatl citadel has been preserved. Quetzalcoatl is one of the main gods of the American Indians, namely the Aztecs. Quetzalcoatl means feathered snake. Along the facade, there are images of 365 dragons. Such an image is often found in Turkic mythology. Kazakhs say if you see a snake, do not kill it, better give it milk or kefir. Then it will crawl away. This is respect for the snake. The Aztecs compared Quetzalcoatl mainly to the planet Venus. In the understanding of ancient peoples, it was considered the 3rd sacred star after the sun and the moon. In Sumerian culture, it was called Dinger, and that means heaven. Participants of the scientific expedition, Trails of Nomads, found another similarity between the Turks and the Indians in the palace of Quetzalpopalotl. We are in the palace of one of the most important local priests, Quetzalpopalotl. This terrace opens onto a large street. Behind it are the pyramids. On the right is the Pyramid of the Sun. On the left is the Pyramid of the Moon. Of course, not everyone can build such a palace. If you walk from a large area along the Avenue of the Dead, on the right side there will be several buildings. Among them is the Quetzalpopalotl Palace. Its walls are decorated with various colorful patterns. The image of a bird is especially striking. This is the most beautiful Quetzal parrot that lives in the mountains of Central America. The ancient Indians, especially the Aztecs and Mayans, considered it a sacred bird and associated luck with it. Senior officials put on hats decorated with its feathers. The Kazakhs believe that the parrot is a sacred bird, and the Teotihuacans considered this bird special. This bird is depicted on the national emblem. Gods, sacred animals, religious rites. There are no simple drawings on the walls of buildings. All these images make visitor to think, analyze. Later officials used them as ideological weapons. Teotihuacan was a highly developed city, a center of art and spiritual culture. Therefore, it is necessary to preserve this rich heritage.
Bir 10 жыл бұрын
10 years ago, when we came here, there was a restoration. Then we had the opportunity to get acquainted with all the objects. Now, many of them have closed because of a large number of tourists. To preserve the heritage of ancestors, some facilities are closed, and this, on the one hand, is the right decision. Even the structure of the residential buildings speaks about wide worldview of the Indians. In addition to drawings on the walls of buildings, every house had places for sacrifice. There were no windows in them, and this does not mean that they did not know how to put them. Similar architecture is associated with religious beliefs. All houses had no windows. There are openings for doors. Light penetrated through them. If you look closely, you can understand where the place for prayers and worship was.
Ritualдар жасайтын жерлер бәрі де қарастырылған. Қазір тағы бір бөлмеге келіп тұрмыз. Мұндағы ең бір маңызды нәрсе бұл.
Now we went into the room. There are a lot of drawings dedicated to the wife. These are old drawings. We see the image of the jaguar, which is also considered a sacred animal among them.
Көп суреттердің ішінде біз ягуарды байқаймыз. Ягуар бұларға қасиетті жануар деп есептеген.
The structure of the city was divided into areas for noble and ordinary people. There were no borders between them. The area of ordinary inhabitants included merchants, artisans, and farmers. According to some scholars, the population of Teotihuacan consisted of 75% of farmers. This indicates a special honor of the working people, which influenced the development of the city. The heyday of the civilization in Teotihuacan occurred simultaneously with the heyday of ancient Rome. But the city built by the American Indians who came from Altai existed for a long time and had a very great cultural impact on the whole world.
Құрылысшы ретінде айта кететін бір нәрсе, мынау мысалы жар, қабырға. Мұны мынандай тастармен қалаған. Инк.
As a builder, I want to say about this wall made of stone. For example, the Incas did not use any solution for bonding, but they used it. They made it from sand, added lime. Kazakhs, for example, added eggs to the solution, and horsehair was used for binding. And they add agave juice. It is very durable like glue. How many millennia have passed, and the wall stands as if nothing had happened.
Арматура сияқты қып. Бұлар агаваның соғын қосқан. Агаваның соғы кәдімгі клей сияқты мықты ұстап тұрады. Міне қарап тұрсыздар, қаншама заман өтті, ешқандай да қозғалмаған, бұрынғы жар өзінің орнында тұр.
The city of Teotihuacan has greatly benefited human civilization. Several years ago, archaeologists conducted excavations at the site of the city. They found the skull of a noble woman. The front teeth were decorated with pirate stone. That is, this suggests that the ancient Indians possessed the skills of dental prosthetics. The body was buried 1600 years ago. Paradox, why did the inhabitants leave such a beautiful city? Where did they go? So far, scientists have not answered this question.
Күн пирамидасымен торға кеуіптарын екеуін салыстырған уақытында егер
If we compare the Pyramid of the Sun and Turgay geoglyphs, then we can notice similarity. This similarity can be seen by climbing to a certain point. Both facilities are still full of secrets and require comprehensive research.
Құпия заттары әлі толып жатыр. Екеуі де әлі зерттелу керек.
There is an image on one of the buildings of Teotihuacan. It depicts a group of people playing with the ball. This is an ancient sports and religious ritual game of the Indians, which is called pok-ta-pok. Current football, basketball, and all team games with the ball originate from pok-ta-pok. Evidence supporting this seems to have been found by members of the scientific expedition Trails of Nomads. Scientists made such a discovery while working in the city of Chichen Itza, relating to the Mayan civilization. We will talk about this in the next episode.